Bernie was asked this last night. He's asked every time, how are you going to be able to win over, being so far on the left, being able to win over general election voters? Why isn't this question ever asked in Republican debates? Why doesn't Ted Cruz or Donald Trump have to explain how they're going to, after saying the just far right bullshit that they spew, Peter, why aren't they asked how they're going to win over progressives and independent voters?
Well, first, let's start with the thing that there's a lot of national polls that show Hillary and Bernie very close. Some of them show Bernie actually ahead of her. So this, this electability question seems to be somewhat facetious on the
we'll
part.
Talk about that, but just why is this only pinned on Bernie? How are you going to win over the other side's voters? Never in the Republican race.
It's a hell of a question. It's a hell of a question, actually, and it raises the issue of how the media treats these candidates. Everybody on the Republican side is some flavor of conservative nutcase. I mean, they vary in their nuttiness. Trump and Cruz, fighting on one end of it, and then Rubio trying to anchor the other end. But I mean, we've come to this weird place where Republican candidates are allowed to cite Jesus Christ as their mentor and pray on stage as part of their political thing. And it's perfectly now somehow acceptable. So I think the idea is that since all the Republicans are like this, the question sort of fades away. I think, again, going back to my concerns about the media, the media thrives on controversy. They thrive on trying to poke candidates to see if they can get a reaction. And, the electability thing always gets a reaction out of Hillary and certainly will provoke a response. That's the best I can come up with, but it's a great question.
Well, I think it's interesting because I feel like it intuitively feels right that the socialists would have a harder time being elected. But let's look at the actual numbers. We talked about this on Tuesday too. Today we saw a Quinnipiac poll. It showed that just 39% of registered voters have a favorable opinion of Hillary, compared to 56% who don't. That's literally Donald Trump territory. He's at 34% favorable, 59 unfavorable. Bernie has a +9 favorable, so it's completely. And then not only that, but today and in every poll we see, he has bigger leads over Rubio, Cruz, and Trump. Yep. And why aren't we asking Hillary how she's going to win over voters who hate her and have been hating her since the 90s, Eric?
But I think what it comes down to with Hillary, we all know she has a terrible record, that she lies. Most people who follow this stuff trace that. But when it comes down to a general election, when it's say Hillary wins and it's Hillary versus Trump or Cruz, then it doesn't matter anymore because it's just the partisan politics. Okay, I'm voting Democrat because I don't want crazy Cruz to run the country. And so I don't think she has to worry about the electability as much unless Sanders seriously challenges her and there's a threat that then he can win the nomination. Whether we get there, it's tough to say, but I don't think she'll struggle against a Republican candidate. I don't.
Yeah, every month that goes by, it's a completely different race. So today, the Quinnipiac poll we just mentioned had Bernie trailing Hillary by just 2 points nationally. The same poll 2 months ago had him down 31%. That's a huge leap. And we've also seen Fox News polls, and another poll had him at 12 back after he was down 30-some-odd points in almost every single survey in December. Josh, are we underestimating how well he can do once we get past these early states and go into Super Tuesday and when the contests get quicker?
Well, I think the major benefit to Bernie Sanders of having the electability question asked of him so much is that he gets a chance to answer it a lot. And so, when people hear things over and over, it becomes just part of the narrative. So, eventually by the time Nevada's over, the question will be, people say you're unelectable, you say, and then they'll make his response part of the question, and so the answer gets to keep evolving throughout the campaign. And that, to get back to your question to Peter, I think that is a huge mistake on the Republican Party's, or at least the moderators' faults for not asking that question. But, they don't ask that question because they believe that independents and anyone who's not a libtard is already with them, so they don't worry about appealing to the majority of the country because they think they are the majority of the country. And somehow that confidence, just like I guess when you You try to get the pretty girl's number and you go up with confidence, you end up with the number. Maybe that's how they keep winning. I don't know. But they don't seem to care about appealing to moderates or mainstream, because ideological purity is so important to their party, which is why I think it's interesting that ideological purity is starting to become a really big issue on the Democratic side. And I wonder if it's going to play the same way. Because here's the thing, and I don't think any Democrat would, if it were Hillary Clinton and anyone on the Republican side, cast their vote for the Republican side. I mean, maybe someone would vote for Eric would probably vote for Bloomberg, not the New York guys. I would have to imagine you guys wouldn't. But I'm just saying, like, I don't think that that's what's going to happen. Whereas, you know, so it's weird to me that they're so concerned about that electability issue.
Well, it's especially ironic. It's especially ironic given the fact the last two presidential elections they have lost in complete and utter landslides. Like, it was never even close. Yeah. So yeah, it's great to have that confidence to walk up to the girl, but when you like got one leg and cross-eyed, you're not going to get the number. That's what the Republicans are.
And not to take us too far off topic, but just real quick, there was a great report from the Houston Chronicle in 2014 after the midterms that talks about how the electoral math shapes up. Pretty much a Democratic broomstick can get 250 electoral votes, you know, on election night. Like, if the states go the way the states are probably going to go, this should be a cakewalk election for Democrats, which is why I think the strategy had been not so much to coronate Hillary, but to make the primary process quick, quiet, and just have a general election strategy all the way forward. But what's interesting, though, and I think that is a good sign for Democrats, is that with this new debate and then the successive debates they negotiated, they realized that, you know, like in 2008, all this attention is going to help. I mean, the reason Trump is dominating polls was because he was on TV every 10 fucking minutes. But he didn't win Iowa because at some point voters apparently actually think, you know? So